Welcome back to the city of Carthage, ladies and gentlemen, which has seen better days, but at least is back under Roman control. I'm Marcus Aurelius, and this is Total War, The Last Roman, and History. And in the last episode, we took a break from North Africa and fought the Battle of Dhara in the east against the Persians, where we discussed the historical battle and also fought our own battle, not quite along the lines of history. But now we're back in North Africa, and in this episode, I'd like to discuss what happened as a result of the Battle of Dhara, how it affected the Romans, how it affected the Persians, and what the Persians' next steps were. You'll also notice, perhaps, that we are not in exactly the same position as when we left. I actually am one turn ahead. The city of Carthage was attacked by a huge army of Sardinians, which wasn't very notable, and we had to fight them off. Unfortunately, it hurt us quite a bit. As you can see here, our armies are completely destroyed for the most part, so I'm going to have to spend a couple turns rebuilding our armies. We do have a potential problem, however, in that the Vandals have a renewed sense of strength, and they have two large and dangerous armies here that are currently fighting our allies, the Romans, at Hippodiaretus. And the Romans, despite being Romans for some reason, cannot stand under the Vandal onslaught. So, our goal basically is to refresh our armies. This is John the Armenian. He now has better recruitment. So we're going to give him 3 archers. We're going to give him 2 Limitane Lycocranitai. We will give him 2 more regular Limitane, since they can testudo. We'll give him some of our elite numerous Faritanatai, or Faranitai.
It is a great and glorious thing to serve your people.
Let's give him a unit of Huns.
Come, fight with us.
And what else? Maybe some Slavic axemen?
We need good fighters.
And maybe some Preventores.
It is a great and glorious thing to serve your people.
Alright, now Pharos the Herulian, what are we going to get for you? Well, your cavalry was pretty beat up. So we're going to get you a unit of Equites Promoti. That'll leave you with 4 cavalry units. We are going to give you 2 more bowmen as well. We're going to give you another Limitane. We're going to give you 2 more numerous Faratane, 2 Limitane Lycocranitai, 1 Slavic axemen, and 1 of our traditional Federati, let's say. And that's pretty solid for you. Let's see what buildings they can produce, if any. So we are working on an officer's quarters.
At your command.
This one can't do anything, so we're just going to end the turn.
Destination reached.
Alright, so it looks like the Vandals are content to just beat up our Roman allies, and they're not coming down to Carthage yet to fight against us. So we're going to have to take the fight to them to rid the world of their foulness. Meanwhile, the Ostrogoths are actually beating up the Romans pretty badly. In Dalmatia, they've already taken Salona, and they've gone down into the Roman provinces as well. Although the Romans appear to have a bunch of backup armies coming in. So their spy was able to misdirect us. I'm not going to read to you anything about this because we'll talk about it later when we get to the Ostrogothic portion of our history. But it's essentially Amalasuntha, the queen of the Ostrogoths, who was friendly with the Romans, was imprisoned by her nobles. John the Armenian wants to marry Antonina. Wait, no, I'm sorry. John the Armenian has spread horrible rumors about Antonina, my wife. Why would you do that, John? We're going to have to pay him off, I guess. I don't know what else to do. We have plenty of influence. John, why would you do that, buddy? That's not brotherly behavior. Alright, let's give him some melee strength and a little bit of cavalry strength. And we'll give him a artist, I guess. Why not? Alright, so he's going to take 2 more turns. Belisarius is going to take 2 more turns. What we could really use right now is the ability to stop their army. So come on. I have faith in you. I have faith in you, man. Critical success. It's my favorite kind of success. Alright, good. So they won't be able to move, I guess. That's great. Let's end another turn. And now they're fortifying. That's fine. We just need time to refresh our armies. They're sending their champion against us, though. And they were successful. Man, my spy sucks. He just can't do anything. The Ostrogoths are marching into Roman lands. Still gotta keep an eye on the Sardinians. I did massacre 4,000 of them, but I'm sure there's more where that came from. Wait, their spy failed. Oh, here we go. Assault success. So our spy is going to be out of commission for a while. That is unfortunate. Because he was the only one we had.
Commander,
But we have one more turn to wait. Can we build any buildings here? That one's still being built. No, we cannot. Alright, so while we're waiting, I want to read a direct quote from Lord Mahon in his book, The Life of Belisarius. And it shows you kind of what was going on in the Persian king's head after the Battle of Dhara. And Lord Mahon writes, "The tidings of this battle sunk deep into the mind of Kobad. He beheld himself baffled by a nation which he had hitherto despised as weak and still hated as hostile. Some of his best troops had fallen, and the remainder were scattered and disbanded. Above all, they had lost the confidence of success, which, in soldiers, is the surest means to its attainment." So, as I mentioned, everything changed. The Romans, who before this were demoralized, they didn't think they were good enough, they were being beaten left and right by the Persians, now had a renewed sense of strength, a backbone, and the Persians, on the other hand, had lost tons of their men. A lot of their best soldiers had died. They had lost the morale. They, had to look at these Romans, and especially Belisarius, as a potential threat, whereas before they were laughing at them. And the leader of the Persian army at the Battle of Dhara, the Miranis Firuz, had a golden hair tie that the Persian king had given him as a sign of honor. And he had that taken away from him. The Persian king took it back because of the dishonor he suffered from losing that battle that he should have won. It was his arrogance, that led to partially to the loss of the battle. So essentially, what's happening here is Justinian wants us to go to North Italy and raid a province in the middle of Italy to save Amalasuntha, the Ostrogothic queen. And we are going to say no. But that's just basically them telling us that's what's going to happen. Okay, so the Romans are building an army here. The Legion 16 under Donatus of Asia. And we're in a pretty good position here because we're ready to go, I think. Yes, we are, and there's a Vandal army here just waiting to get crushed. Unfortunately, they are just out of our range.
on the move. We hunger for battle.
Uh-oh.
Make haste.
Alright, I think we're still close enough to back each other up. We'll see. So Belisarius obviously was heartened by this victory, but he was a cautious man, so he stayed in Dhara to kind of train more troops. Okay, so the Vandals brought up a second army, and unfortunately we cannot reinforce each other.
Disengage. Finding shelter.
Okay, luckily for us, they weren't able to continue that assault, and we can regroup again. Looks like the Ostrogoths have taken Epidaurus from the Romans. Come on, Romans, you guys need to take this back. So what happened next is I mentioned that both the Romans and the Persians had Arab allies. The Romans were allied by the Ghassanids, and the Persians were allied by the Lakhmids. And they had been fighting a proxy war amongst themselves, raids and counter-raids for quite some time. So, the Lakhmids had a king named Al-Mundar, and he was a clever man, and he had a lot of successful excursions against the Romans. So he told the Persian king, hey, instead of leading your army again through Mesopotamia, past the city of Dhara, like you always do, why don't we try something different? Why don't we assault the Roman lands from the south, through the desert? They'll never see it coming. We could raid and plunder and be safe. So the Persian king, of course, thought that was a great idea, and along with 5,000 Lakhmid heavy cavalry, he sent 10,000 of his own Savaron elite cavalry, and those 15,000 were the vanguard of a force that went into Roman Syria. So are these two armies close enough to reinforce each other? I don't think they are, actually.
Ready for battle.
So we might be able to have some fun here. Let's see.
Would that I were as swift as the angels.
That's John.
Commander. To victory!
And he knows it, so he's running. But unfortunately, that puts us in a position because we can't.
At your command.
Let's see, will he be close enough? He will be close enough to join the attack. I think we've got these guys.
Destroy them.
Let's go aggressive. And we push them into the sea. And we hardly lost anything. So that was great. We just took out an entire full stack Vandal army. Let's get up next to our friend here so we can help each other out. Let's encamp. Let's also build a meat storage. Meat storage essentially doesn't provide as much food as a grain storage, but it provides more money. And money isn't a problem right now, but it might become so in the future. And I think we're good. Oh, our spy's back.
I am yours to command.
So let's see if we can't hinder this army.
Sabotaging.
Another critical success.
Succeeded.
Which is good because we need to train this guy to be an assassin, and we're almost there. One more level, and we can train him to be a good assassin. So that's perfect. Initially, Belisarius didn't believe that this Persian attack was for real. He heard reports, but he thought that it was a rumor, or thought it was a ruse to try to get him to leave the walls of Dhara, and then he expected a larger, serious Persian army to come and try to take the city. But eventually, after numerous reports, he figured that it was for real. So he marched off. He left pretty large garrisons in all the cities of Mesopotamia that the Romans controlled, but he marched off himself with a force of 25,000 men, of which 5,000 were allies, the Ghassanids. And he used a strategy that the Romans had been using since Caesar, that of the forced march. And so he was able to get in front of the Persians relatively quickly. The Persians were actually surprised by how fast his troops were able to match them. That, combined with their shame and, of course, fear after losing the Battle of Dhara, the Persian commanders decided, you know what, let's just turn around and go home. Because if we fight a battle with the Romans and we lose, there's a chance that some of our men will never make it back. I mean, none of our men will. Nobody will make it back. We might get completely crushed. However, if we win, who cares? What's the point? Belisarius can just retreat to the walls of his keeps. They can regroup. They could come back after us. Meanwhile, we're stuck in enemy lands. So they decided to just go back into Persia. And Belisarius was thrilled about this. He figured if he could win a battle without even unsheathing his sword, without spilling a drop of blood, get the Persians back into Persia, that's perfect. That's the best kind of victory. So what he did is he followed them. He kind of escorted them out about a day's march behind them. They both followed the path of the river Euphrates. However, his troops were not as wise as he was, and they made fun of him. They essentially said, Belisarius, you're a coward. Why aren't we fighting these guys? We should be fighting them. We beat them at Dhara. We're stronger than they are. They're running away. Let's crush them once and for all. And Belisarius obviously knew that that may not be the case. You really never want to get involved in a big engagement because it can go either way. And if there's another way to win by just simply chasing them out of Roman territory, that's the way to go. So we'll discuss more about that in the next episode, where we talk about the Battle of Callinicum. But for right now, their spy is just amazing. All of their agents are amazing. But our Imperium level has grown to inspiring. Alright, so what this basically means is Theodora is writing to us and saying, I know my husband has tasked you to rescue Amalasuntha, but she's a snake in the grass. Obviously, Theodora feels threatened by this woman. So she's saying, if you just don't succeed in this mission, you'll have my thanks. I'll turn my husband off. He won't get mad at you, and I'll help you out. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to reject the mission and assist Theodora. Alright. So, we've crushed one Vandal army.
Ready for battle.
And now there's another one.
March. Is that all?
Just standing there forlorn, looking at the sea.
Ready for orders.
And that one's done.
At your
I don't want to lose integrity. And looks like both of our armies have improved. For Pharos, we're going to go with more logistics and integrity. Although we should be good with integrity now. We are. We no longer have the penalty that we suffered
Commander.
from accepting Theodosius. And actually, we're going to do the same with these guys, too. So replenishment and integrity is at their max. Let's move him over here. And camp. And I know this hasn't been the most exciting episode ever, but one more turn. Over. Oh, we need to research technology. So we can choose between Eastern Heavy Cavalry Tactics, greater ammunition for missile cavalry, and 1 experience for cavalry recruits. We can do Weapon Manufactories, which lowers the recruitment cost in general by 8% and ammunition increases by 10%, or we can use Billeting, which lowers the upkeep cost of our army by 7% and also allows us to build something called a Safe Keep. And we're going to go with this one because upkeep cost is what we're currently suffering from. Our armies are full, so we're not going to be recruiting relatively soon, hopefully. The only reason we'd be recruiting is if we lose a battle. Hopefully that won't happen. Carthage has a full garrison, although if the Sardinians come back, that's not going to be enough. But we can't be concerned of such things.
Ready for orders.
We have to take out the Vandals. And we've crushed 2 of their main armies, so you're always taking a risk when you do this, but I'm pretty confident that a forced march
Till your feet bleed.
will get us there.
At your command. Get moving, you wretches.
Alright, I'm surprised. Oh, and the reason why they weren't allowed to move more than that is because their agents keep causing trouble with us.
Assist you.
At your
Oops.
command.
I thought this guy was our army. Let's move back here. Meanwhile, our agent is going to try to take out
To command.
their agent. Or at least deceive him. Let's try that.
Is quite right.
Success. Great. I'll take it. So, unfortunately for the Romans, Al-Mundir of the Lochmids was a smarter, more powerful, in general better ally than the Ghassanids who were helping the Romans. I'm not saying the Ghassanids were, like, not being true to them. They were, but they just weren't as good. Al-Mundir obviously was a stronger general, a better leader, and you'll see why in the next episode. And Theodosius, with Aurelia, no kidding, has sired an illegitimate son. And okay, Theodora is happy that we decided to aid her, so she's giving us 5,000 gold, along with her support, which means our wealth-generating buildings will gain 5% wealth for our entire expedition for the next 50 turns. So I'll take that. That's pretty good. Pharos gained another level. Let's go infantry and cavalry. That's where we usually go with this. Except we can't, I guess. He only got 2 instead of 3. It's alright. I want to get to the Vandals as quickly as I can before they're able to regroup, so we're going to stick with the forced march.
Ready for orders. Is that all? March. Ready for further orders.
So we can actually go right up to the walls of their city,
As swift as the angels. Advance.
which we're going to do. And there we're going to end the turn. Okay, we can't get out of forced march. So we are in a state of tired, but I doubt they're going to try to engage us with this tiny little army. And I don't think we can... Yeah, we can't besiege the city. But I think we're doing pretty well. Let's see what this guy does. He's probably going to try to assault our army. Although he might try an assassination attempt. We'll find out soon what happened. I have no idea. They just brought a spy in as well. They have so many agents, and they're all really good. And, oh, the Sardinians are coming back with a huge force. I'm not going to be able to stop them. That's 2 full stacks. The Sardinians have just ridiculous amounts of troops. They were just trying to harass us. That's alright. Misdirect us. They failed. A rebuke from Justinian. He's mad that we failed him. So, the Ostrogoths hate us. Negative 60. Control has been weakened for 20 turns. And political repercussions. Negative 10 towards the Roman Empire. I'm not worried about it. That's not a problem. We did the right thing. Let's see if we can't take out this guy of the Sardinians just to gain some experience for our guy. Success.
Your will is
Did you get some experience, though?
I am a shadow.
Unfortunately not. Alright, let's get out of forced march.
Commander.
Can we go around and actually fight this guy?
We hunger for battle.
We can.
At once. Is that all?
Alright.
At your command.
And, unfortunately, he just moved away.
Ready for battle. Ready for orders.
Now, we can besiege the city. They have a very tiny garrison. Might as well.
At your command.
And let's build a ram. A couple ladders.
Laying siege to the settlement.
Excellent. They're probably going to try to harass us again. It's a good thing for us the Vandal armies aren't as good as their agents. Well, he gained some experience, so whatever he did, it was probably a success. And they're taking to the sea. That's interesting. I wouldn't have expected that. The Ostrogoths are sailing against Roman Dyrrachium. They're just overpowering the Romans left and right. Sardinians are going to take Carthage. They were successful, and they also took Hippo. Oh, man. Critical success, misdirect. Whatever.
At your command.
Let's just take the city for the Romans.
Victory!
And we're going to reclaim it.
Ready for battle.
Alright. So we have some choices here. We can continue to move west against the remaining Vandal territories. There's Cirta here. And I think that's actually it. And Thagaste. So we can come around and take these 2 cities, and then the Vandals are pretty much finished. And then we can come back up here and deal with the Sardinians, who apparently seem to be more powerful than the Vandals. They were able to take 2 cities in quick succession. What do the Romans have? Not much. And then we also seem to have a rebel army of Germanic rebels. So the Romans are not doing a very good job taking care of their land. We're going to have to come back and put things to right. But in the meantime, that'll be the end of this episode. So next episode, we're going to move west and then south, finish off the Vandals, and hopefully by that time the Sardinians haven't conquered all of North Africa. This is really tough. I mean, they're sure making this hard on me. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Marcus Aurelius. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Have a good one.